Hello, hello. I'm so excited to connect with you guys. It's been a while. If you don't know me, my name is Dawn L, and I'm a soul and business coach and intuitive healer. And I wanted to come on today because I recently just got back from a trip to Bali, and if you haven't been to Bali, it's amazing. The people there, so kind, and it's just gorgeous there. But I went there actually for a training. I went there to work towards my certification to be a quantum healer, and that's was an amazing experience. But it actually is part of what I want to share today. I want to discuss because I think all of us come to this point in our lives where we're ready to step into something new. We're ready to shift something. We're ready to let go of something. And when you're ready to evolve into the next version of you, one of the things that I feel is really, really important to do so is to let go of your identities that you hold on to so dearly. And so what do I mean by that? I just want you to take a moment and just think about all the ways that you show up in your life, all the different identities that you adhere to currently. For me, it's mother, coach, healer, sister, daughter, all these different things. And it's interesting because we just had this Scorpio new moon. If you follow energy, it's, obviously new moons releasing, setting intentions for new things, stepping into a new timeline of whatever you want to call in, right? And so for me, actually, all this information came through for me that day of the new moon. I woke up, couldn't sleep, probably because of jet lag. And I was thinking about all the identities that I have and how limiting they are. And it's not to say that identities aren't important in some way, shape, or form. They help us relate to other people, but they only serve us to a certain point, because if you get too connected to, like, I'm a coach and like for me, I'm a coach and I'm a healer and I'm this and I'm that, and it's like, yeah, that's all great, but I'm done and I am this multidimensional being, and so are you. And as cheesy and weird as that sounds, we are so much more than the labels that we put on ourselves. And so if you're wanting to shift or up level into the next version of you, you have to be willing to let go of the way that you limit yourself. So thinking of yourself as, okay, I'm this beautiful, energy of light, right? All of us. And if I want to connect to the next thing, I'm going to let go of these ways that I play small, right? And this really came up for me when I was in Bali, actually, because I haven't taken a certification course in my business for so long. Like, I've been doing my healing work for like probably 10 years now and been just kind of doing my own thing. And then I saw this training and I was really drawn to it. It's by Regan Hillier and Juan Pa Barona. I love my teachers. But anyways, I was drawn to it. And one of the things they said in the beginning of the course is that we had to completely release our attachment to how we've been doing things thus far. So when you've been successful at something and when you've been doing something a certain way and you've gotten desired results, it's really hard to let go of the way that you've been doing it. But if you want to step into something new, you have to be willing to embrace the fact that maybe there's something more for you to learn. There's more room for you to bring in some new knowledge or some new way of being, right? So there's always this point where you guys may find yourselves where you want to shift, but things are working for the most part, right? Like, you're in let's say it's your relationship. Like, your relationship's working. Like, there's nothing like too major, too, crazy, but you want something more, right? And I always invite you to honor that part of you that wants something more, because it's your soul letting you know that this isn't an either or lifestyle that we're living. Like, this planet is abundant and it's an and lifestyle. So if you get this inner calling that's like, I want a better relationship, I want to do better in my business. I want to call in more abundance. Whatever it may be, honor that calling, right? First and foremost. And when that comes, though, you might have to disrupt something that's already taking place in your life. Like you may find that, like, okay, if I'm going to step into something new, I have to be willing to let go of what already is. And that's difficult, right? It can be really challenging. And so I found myself in my healing certification, having to sit through these sessions. And I've been doing sessions for years, intuitive healing sessions, outside of my coaching with my clients. And I have a set way of doing it. I go about it in this certain format. And I had to release all of that. I had to let it all go because I was learning to be certified in this new way. And I remember feeling a little bit kind of insecure, a little bit like, what am I doing? And my mind, my ego was so attached to, like, I'm a healer. I know how to do this. And now I have to do it this new way. And I had to let it go. And I had to remember that I signed up for this for a reason, because I wanted to learn something new. I want to do something different, right? So if you find yourself wanting to up level or switch something up, know that you're going to have feelings of insecurities. You're going to have things that come up for you. And most importantly, be aware of the stories you're telling yourself, because the stories will keep us from evolving. They're going to try and keep us safe because the stories are from our ego. They're not from our soul that's like saying, yes, please. It's from our ego that loves to feel so safe, so comfortable in the way things have been. But if you're honoring that inner calling to do something different or be more or expand into something new, you're gonna be uncomfortable. So the first thing I want to, like, the first hack, like if you're up leveling to a new version of you, is to be really aware of the stories that you're telling yourself. I even found, there's a new aspect of my business I'm stepping into more, and it's traveling. It's like doing international retreats. But I have two little daughters that are 4 and 6, and I sometimes feel guilty and have all these stories that come up around, like, well, if I'm going to be a really good mom, I wouldn't be traveling this much and doing all these things. I already am looking at my calendar for 2020, and there's all this travel that I have planned. And I had to call myself out on it and say, okay, what's this story about? If I really desire to have more travel in my business, and that's what my soul is asking for, how can I honor that version of me that's trying to come through? Like, that's trying to, like, this new aspect of me that wants to run my business in a new way. Like, how can I honor that without getting into the story, without staying uncomfortable? And I realized that I was creating this story of, like, oh, I can't, I'm going to be away from my daughters and I'm not going to be able to do this, and it's going to affect and impact my family. And then I thought, well, wait a second. Why don't I just make enough money that I can hire a nanny and bring my whole family and have my family with me when I'm traveling? So I challenge you to see the stories that you're creating that are keeping you from aligning with your highest self and the higher version that you want to be. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing, if you're shifting and you're letting go of, like, an identity that you've been holding on to and wanting to step into something new, is to learn how to alchemize everything in the moment. What that means is you will always have opportunities in the present moment to be triggered by your old thoughts, the way that you think, the beliefs, all of that. So if you're aligning to a new version of you, right? If there's something new that you want to do, like, let's say in your relationship, and you have this opportunity that comes up, and you could say, well, this is how I always show up. This is how I always do things. Let's just say you're in a discussion. Well, you already have evidence. If you stay the same, if you think the same that you always have, you already have evidence of how that's going to turn out, right? Because if you think about it, like, your whole past, if you look to your past, like, that is your evidence. Like, if you continue to stay in that same vibration, that same frequency, that same way of thinking. So if you want to shift, what would your future self, that new version of you, what would that person do? How would that person in that moment think and behave and feel? And it creates this high level of awareness of how you're showing up in your life and how you're reacting to everything. So I encourage you that if you're shifting, that like in that moment when I was getting triggered with the healing stuff, and I'm like, okay, I have to, I caught myself and I was like, oh my gosh, like I know if I try and do it the way I always have, then I'm just going to get the same results because I've already know, like as a healer, this is what I've been able to do and accomplish. But what if I stepped into something new? So in that moment, I alchemized, I shifted that feeling of insecurity and I just became curious. And I said, well, I'm just going to try something new. I'm going to be in the space of not knowing and the uncertainty, and I'm going to have fun. And it opened up to these amazing, amazing opportunities with all the people that I was training with. So alchemy. So alchemize in the moment. You know, whenever you have that thing that comes up as triggering you to go back in the old way of thinking, align to who you're becoming, access, like how, you know, I would highly suggest like having some visual or something that you're doing that really like anchors you to that future timeline and bring that back into the now. So it's almost like seeing yourself in the future going, okay, I know it's available to me and I'm going to bring that back into the now. And the last thing I want to say is if you're in the energy of wanting to shift or do something new, change something up, pay attention to your environment. Because if you are going against the grain, which I honor you if you are, if you're going against the status quo and you're living your life accordingly to your heart, which is amazing. But if you're doing that, you're going to get a lot of people around you that are not going to always be on the same page with you. They might be naysayers. They might be like, what are you doing? You might be triggering them because you're standing in your own truth of who you want to be and how you want to live your life. And it triggers people that are not doing that. So if that happens to you, just pay attention. You don't have to get all judgy on everybody around you and cut everybody out. But I would say, notice the people in your life that support you and notice those that take you out of that energy that you're trying to cultivate in your life. And decide how you want to use your energy. Because if you're trying to create something new and different in your life, it requires space, right, within you to download that new thing. So if you're always like using up all your energy, all that space on situations that don't serve you or people that are doubting your abilities to shift into something new or people that don't believe in you, it's a waste of your energy. Like give yourself the freedom to thanks for the hearts. Give yourself the freedom to choose you and your truth and stay in that energy and don't feel bad for not, thank you, Rochelle. Don't feel bad for not wanting to be around people that bring you down. I mean, why do we do that to ourselves? I think it's really that old like people pleaser paradigm that we've been living under. I say let go of that and step into this very discerning energy of like what feels good to me. And you can always tell what feels good, like the people around you that you surround yourself with, very easily. This is not like you have to be like Sherlock Holmes and like figure this out. It's very simple. All you have to do is feel in your body. When I'm around this person, when I'm having a conversation with this person, do I feel expansive and light in my body and like connected even more to my own truth? Or do I feel really contracted and kind of triggered? And I'm not saying that you can't feel triggered in your life, but like if you're sharing and trying to shift and do new things in your life and somebody's like in your ear saying, oh, you can't do that and I don't believe that's available or you're crazy to think that you can do that, and you feel contracted, like don't choose to be around that kind of energy. So be very, very selective with the people that you spend your time with. That's why I'm very selective with my inner circle, like who I hire as my coaches, who even down to this quantum healing certification, like I used my discernment, and there's so many different people that I could have trained with over the years to be, doing new healing stuff. But I literally felt such a yes in my body to train with them. And I could see why once I was there, why I felt that way, because they came from such a high level of integrity and expertise. So enough of that, but I just want to end with, just kind of wrapping this up in a beautiful, and putting a little beautiful bow on it. If you are up leveling, if you're shifting, be willing to, let go of the stories that you're telling yourself that are keeping you playing small. Be willing to let go of the identities that you have been adhering to for all this time, because they also limit you. And remember that you are this like pure being of light and love, and nobody can keep you in a certain identity or energy, right? And then alchemize in the moment and be really careful with, not careful, but selective with your environment. Be selective with who you spend your time with, because you are an amazing person. And when you really cultivate your own inner light within, then you're helping everybody else around you. And the world needs so much more of that. So, anyways, if you have been listening to this whole thing, thank you so much. If you're curious about learning more about my services, shoot me a DM. And I'd love to discuss, doing a healing session with you or coaching. And have a great rest of your day. Okay, take care.